Steel is my body, and fire is my blood. I have made over 1,000 blades, unknown to death. Unlimited Blade Works! I am the bone of my sword. Karada Borg!
Yo, what's up guys, Toby from MasterBok Show, and I hope you're having an amazing day. What do you guys think about a build that is the ultimate Shadow Warrior, a creature of the darkness, undetectable and untouchable by your opponents, the ultimate stealth archer, and living your fantasy, becoming a creature from the shadows, destroying your enemies' health bars from the distance, and become one of the most broken archers in the game? This is actually a follow-up video for one of my Gloomstalker builds, and I finally perfected it. If you're into becoming the most powerful sneaky character in the game, this is the build for you. I'm talking about the ultimate Gloomstalker and my version of the perfected Shadowhunter. I hope you guys are excited for this build as I am, and without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, here we are now guys in our character creation screen. This is where we will be building the foundation of our ultimate Shadowhunter. We are now going to be selecting from two of the most interesting race for the build, which is the elf and the half elf. Both of them has almost the same race feature, which is going to be base racial speed, civil militia, dark vision, as well as fey ancestry. That's going to be giving us advantages in charmed and sleep. The only difference for them is the civil militia for the half elf, because it's going to be giving us weapon proficiencies for spears, spikes, halberds, and glaives, as well as armor proficiency in light armor and shields. And the other one is for the elf, which is the only difference is the elven weapon training, which is going to be giving us proficiencies in long sword, short sword, longbow, and short bows. I highly advise we just go for the elf, because we are eyeing on the elven weapon training. We are going to be using a lot of longbows for this build. For the sub race, I highly advise you just go for the wood elf. That's going to be giving us fleet of foot, granting us additional move speed by 1.5 meters. For the classes, we're going to be starting with our foundation class, which is the rogue. This will unlock our actions for our sneak attack, ranged, as well as sneak attack melee. For the background, we're just going to be selecting from two of the most interesting backgrounds for the build, which is the urchin and the charlatan. For the charlatan, you're going to be getting skill proficiencies in deception and sleight of hand, and for the urchin is you're going to be getting sleight of hand and stealth. For me, I'm just going to be going with the urchin because the stealth skills is a really amazing skill. But if ever you need somebody that's going to be the front line of the party, and as well as the person that's going to be doing the sleight of hand or thieving skills, I highly advise you just go for the charlatan. But for this playthrough, I'm just gonna be going for the urchin. For the abilities, we're just gonna be prioritizing on three abilities for this build, which is dexterity, constitution, and wisdom. Dexterity is gonna be really effective because we're gonna be using finesse weapons in the form of the longbow, as well as wisdom because we're gonna be introducing another class to the mix later on for the build. And finally, for constitution, because there is a specific spell that we need to make this build really OP. After character creation, we're now going to be moving into level 2 and unlocking our new actions, which are the cunning action hide, dash, as well as disengage. Level 3, we are now unlocking our first subclass feature that is very important for the build, which is the thief. This is going to be unlocking our subclass for fast hands, granting us additional bonus action as well as falling damage resistance. As early as level 4, we just unlock our feet, we are eyeing on a really interesting feat called the Sharpshooter. The Sharpshooter is going to be giving us class features such as Sharpshooter All In and Sharpshooter Low Ground. This will give us additional 10 damage to our attack rolls for level 5. This is going to be starting to get interesting because we are now going to be starting to introduce a class into the mix, which is the Warlock. The Warlock is a very powerful class aside from giving us one of the best cantrips in the game in the form of the Eldritch Blast. It also gives us the subclass of the Great Old One and Mortal Reminder. So whenever we land a critical hit against an enemy and any nearby enemies, they need to get a successful wisdom saving throw or they will become frightened in that turn. For the cantrips, as I mentioned earlier, we are still getting the Eldritch Blast, and for the other one, depending on your preference, I highly advise you just get Bone Chill or maybe a True Strike, which is a really good alternative to the Hunter's Mark. For the spells, it's up to your preference, but I advise you just get Hex. It is a really nice source of necrotic damage. Level 6, we are now unlocking class feature as well as 2 passive Eldritch Invocations. For the Eldritch Invocation, we are eyeing on the Devil's Sight. The Devil's Sight basically grants us immunity against blindness as well as One with the Shadows. One with the Shadow is going to be unlocking One with the Shadow class action feature, which is going to be granting us invisibility for as long as we are standing still, but this actually breaks whenever we move, attack, cast a spell, or take action, even take damage. For level 7, we are now unlocking class feature as well as packed boons. Boons isn't that important for this build, but depending on your preference, I just advise you just get maybe Pact of the Tome, especially you're gonna get a free guidance, which is really nice. The really important thing for this level is unlocking Darkness. Darkness is gonna be the foundation spell and make our ultimate Shadowhunter. So if ever you don't know, guys, Darkness is a really powerful spell because it creates a dark shroud that's going to be heavily obscuring enemies and blinds creatures within them for 10 turns. For level 8, this is going to be really interesting, guys, because we are now introducing another class to the mix in the form of the Ranger. The Ranger is going to be introducing us to a subclass feature that will make this build OP. For the favored enemies, we're just going to be sticking with the Bounty Hunter because it's going to be giving us proficiency investigation, as well as whenever we ensnare an enemy, it's going to be giving them disadvantage on their saving throws. For the Natural Explorer, I'm just going to be sticking with the Beast Tamer because it's going to be giving us Find Familiar spell. This spell will grant us the ability to summon familiars to our side, but we're not actually going to be utilizing them for the build. I'm just going to be using the cat familiar because they're pretty useful, especially in the early game. For level 9, still sticking to our Ranger class, we just unlock our class feature, but the most important thing for the level is we are unlocking our fighting style, which is the Archery. Archery will be granting us 2 bonus to our ranged weapon attack, and the series of spell that's going to be going well with our Ranger, which is the Ensnaring Strike, as well as Speaking to Animals. I highly advise you not get Hunter's Mark yet because you will be unlocking this in the next level. So for level 10, still sticking on our Ranger class, we just now unlock our subclass feature that will make this build really OP. In the form of the Gloomstalker, we are unlocking our Dread Ambusher as well as our Dread Ambusher Hide, and a really interesting tool, the Umbral Shroud, and this is where our ultimate Gloomstalker is born. For the spells, as I mentioned earlier, you can actually get Hunter's Mark on this level. Level 11, we are now unlocking a new feat. This is where we will be rounding out the stats for our abilities. So we're just going to be taking ability improvement and putting points to our dexterity as well as for our charisma. And finally, for level 12, this is where we will be unlocking our extra attack, giving us the opportunity to attack twice after our setup, and unlocking additional spells. For your preference, I highly advise you just getting Enhanced Leap. It is a secretly OP spell. Now I'm gonna be showing you guys the setup that we need to make our ultimate Shadow Hunter. For the early game, there are only 2 items that are interesting for me, starting with the Spider Silk Armor. The Spider Silk Armor is really interesting. It's gonna be granting us the passive Stealth 3, giving us +1 bonus to our stealth checks, as well as advantages to our constitution saving throws. You can get the Spider Silk Armor in one of the NPC in the Goblin Camp. She's actually located around the northeastern part of the castle. There is actually a really interesting quest for her to become one of your companions, but if you go with the other route and save the other guy, you will be killing this NPC and taking this armor from her, which is a good deal. Next up is the Smuggler's Ring. This is a very powerful ring that you can find, especially in the early game, that will give you additional +2 to your stealth, as well as +2 to your sleight of hand. This is located in a broken bridge in Act 1, inside a really well-hidden skeleton. You can just drop down, glide down, just using Featherfall to get to this location and find this well-hidden skeleton around the bushes. And an optional item for you guys, which is this amazing helmet that is found in the mushroom colony around the Underdark. You just need to follow the quest line and you're just going to be getting this as part of the reward for that quest. It's going to be giving you the active class action, which is Shrouded in Shadow. That's going to be giving you invisibility for a few turns. And for the late game, there are 3 items that are really interesting to make our ultimate Shadow Hunter really powerful. Starting with the cloak, which is the Shadeslayer cloak. It's going to be giving us the passive Stealthy Critical. While we are hidden, the number of rolls that we need to a critical hit is reduced by 1, and this stacks, which is really powerful. This is going to be stacking really well with our second item, which is the Dead Shot. The Dead Shot is going to be giving us the passive Improved Critical, which will reduce the number of rolls that we need for us to do a critical hit, as well as an additional passive, which is Keen Attack. The wielder will double its proficiency bonus when rolling ranged attack with this weapon until they have disadvantage. And finally, for the third one is the Executioner, which is the killer's sweetheart. When you kill a creature, your next attack roll will be a guaranteed critical hit. Once you spend this effect, it's going to be refreshing after a long rest. And also, we're going to be utilizing our illicit power, which is the Luck of the Form Realms, which will give us a guaranteed crit whenever we activate this skill. I will be linking down below all of the links for this endgame items for you guys to look it up and acquire these amazing items for yourself. Alright guys, I'm now going to be showing you some active gameplay on how we properly use our ultimate Shadow Hunter. The really cool thing about this build is we can actually be on the center of things and attack our enemies without them noticing it. So for us to effectively use this and exploit this, we're going to be using the spell Darkness. So we're going to be shrouding our enemies and blinding them for 10 turns. This is going to be working in tandem with our Devil's Sight, which will grant us immunity against getting blind. I'm going to be using Darkness and going to be turning into turn-based mode for us to exploit the hide and last scene mechanic. Now we are in the Darkness bubble. If you notice guys, the enemies are already blinded, and now we are going to be starting to attack them one by one, and they're not going to be noticing us or anything. And for the people who's going to be asking if dual crossbow is much better for this build, you can actually use dual crossbow, but I highly advise you using the longbow instead, because number one, whenever you attack with a longbow, you just need to succeed 1 stealth check and you are good. As you see, we just successfully had a stealth check and we are still hidden. If ever you're going to be using the dual crossbow, you actually need to succeed 2 stealth check in order for you to stay hidden. So the longbow is the best option for this build. And not to mention that, the longbow looks pretty badass. So I'll be sticking with the longbow. Now we're going to be using our hide mechanic, last scene. And we are now going to be starting to attack our enemies again. We always start to attack with a hide. We're just going to take this guy out and he's dead. We're just in the center of everything. And we're going to be attacking again. Now we're gonna be going back to hide. You can actually start battle while you're still hidden, and the enemy is gonna be trying to find you. As you see here, I just started the battle. I just exploited the last in mechanic for them to needlessly find me. So now I'm gonna be taking this guy out. Now he's dead. And I'm gonna be attacking again. Gonna be using Executioner. And I'm gonna be attacking again. Now I'm gonna be using Dread Ambusher Hide to reposition to another location. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you see how powerful this ultimate Shadowhunter can be. This build is one of the most powerful build that I designed, and I hope you guys play it with friends, or if ever you want to play it solo, you can actually manage to destroy your enemies with this build. If ever you have any clarifications or questions for me, please comment down below. And also guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. It really helps me know that you guys are enjoying my build videos. I hope I earn your subscription in the future, but if I earn it today, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well. That's gonna be helping me out a lot and help the channel grow. And that's it for me. I hope you see you soon in the next MasterBok show. Peace out. Bye guys.